5 different Town Hall 10 attack strategies. That is what you're going to get in this one video. We're going to break them down, teach you everything you need to know from these top level attacks by Toxic Rabbits in their competitive MLCW victory over Lesvari Esports. Let's break them down, give you as many tips and tricks as possible so that you can copy these top attacks in order to get yourself a 3-star. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, let's dive straight into this. We're going to start off with the miners. Now we are going to have a good mix between air and ground. You will pick up a variety of strategies throughout this video, so you don't want to miss any of them. But let's get into the first one. For the miners, you want to try and take out a couple of things initially. It doesn't have to be massive, but the main thing is creating pathing for your miners. So in this attack, we decide to use the Stone Slammer. Kev sends that in from the right hand side with Valkyries in order to take out the enemy queen, but also taking out a couple of buildings on this side of the base. Now over to the opposite side, we will then be using the heroes. Notice what came out of the clan castle. A Lava Hound. Now many of you might think, why does this guy have a Lava Hound in his clan castle? Let me explain that before we get into why the miners have came in from this top area. The Queen Charge is a very powerful strategy right now, and basically the Lava Hound slows it down, so that is the main reason people are using it. With miners, you want to narrow their path so they have a clear shot into the base and they can take down defenses easily. So by taking down this area of the base, and we will be using the heroes to take out this left side of the base, you can see how the miners are funneled straight into the center, right onto them defenses where they can take them down. Notice we come straight into a multi-inferno as well. If you can take down them splash damages quickly, you want to try and do that. You want a good spread of your miners initially. You don't want to just put them in with one finger. Try and space them right the way out. And with the Lava Hound, you will normally see a balloon in there. Make sure you have a poison spell for this. Kev actually took 2 of them just in case, because that balloon can take an incredible amount of damage. But obviously, if any skeleton traps pop, it could slow your miners down, especially if there's any high HP buildings within the base. One of the reasons potentially Kev chose this base is because there wasn't a lot of them. The clan castle just went down, and although we weren't necessarily able to get to the king, the enemy king ended up going down to our king, the miners would have been able to deal with that. They can deal with heroes. It's more troops within the clan castle that do splash damage that you've got to be careful of, because they can take the miners out incredibly quick. Spread them heal spells wisely over the areas of thick defenses, over the areas of splash. Have a little bit of a look, rewind back and see where them heal spells were placed in order to correlate with that. But that good spread of miners, the pathing is what you need. Let's move to the next strategy here. But if you want to see the top Town Hall 10 attacks in order, so you know the best one, I will link that at the end of the video. But let's move to the next one. We've got a fantastic demonstration of the Queen Charge Lalo here, which I feel is one of the best attack strategies at Town Hall 10. There's a lot of different ones, but this one is high skill cap and sets you up well for the rest of the game. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my content. For the Queen Charge Lalo, you've got to get that queen into the base. If she walks, then there's a good chance that the attack's going to go south. So a baby dragon able to create the funnel at the top. Meanwhile, the king powers down the bottom of the base to enable the queen straight in. Now, whenever there's a multi-inferno, you've got to be careful, because as you can see, the range of it here covers the walls. Wall breakers would go down no matter how many you send in, so you'd have to use a freeze. However, The jump spell is used very wisely here to send the queen in. Notice how it does not open up this compartment with the wizard tower and the air defense. That's to send the queen straight in. Although she will take these out, she will be encouraged into the base, not across this way in order to try and be drawn to a gold storage, things that are not needed. She needs to get into the center towards the queen. So do not open up compartments that could steer your queen in the wrong direction. She takes out a multi-inferno first, which is fantastic. Balloons continue to come in here in order to test for black bombs, obviously next to a wizard tower and an air defense. There's a good chance that there could be some. Notice what we're also taking out. Clan castle troops. We're getting into the enemy queen. We've already got that multi, which is huge, but also this sweeper is going to be pretty much dud now. It's gone. The queen's going to be able to eradicate that area, but also take out the second one as well. So we could wallow in from any side of the base. If you've got two multi-infernos though, whilst it's not a necessity, you can come to the multi-inferno at the end, depending on how it looks. But if you can, you've got the air defense coverage, try and come straight into the remaining multi. If you can get that down early on, you've got a much easier ride. So the stone slammer is able to get to that area, and it's able to basically take a lot of the fire from the multi. It's not going to do a lot of damage to it because it's a high hit point troop, if you want. There's not a huge amount of balloons. We can then reinforce with the balloons, and we did have one air defense, which then leads to another, and you can see how the lava hounds protect the balloons initially, and actually we get through the splash damages there as well. So although we don't have a huge amount of spells left, we've used them, we've actually got through the splash, and now it's all point defense. So we can use the haste spell just to speed things up. We've still managed to keep the queen alive. If you can get that Lalo in quick enough, it does a few different things. The main thing is it is protecting your queen so she can help out with cleanup, with taking out remaining defenses, but it can also keep her on track. Instead of having her drawn to one side of the base, maybe you want to continue to send her forward, taking out buildings and defenses to, let's say, the right of her, will continue to send her straight on. So that's 2 attack strategies down, but 3 remain, and 3 very strong attacks for Town Hall 10. Let's move on to the next one. Another air attack, in that of the DragBat. This is actually one of my favourite attack strategies at Town Hall 10. Although it might not be the best, I really enjoy it, and I find that I can actually take down a wide variety of bases with it, and Naughty Rabbit from Toxic Rabbits is able to provide a very good demonstration of it here. Obviously, guys, if you do want to join Toxic Rabbits, if you're a maxed out Town Hall 10 or above, you can join my Discord server. You'll find everything you need to know about joining the clans I cover within my Discord server. So for the dragons, similarly to the miners, you've got to get that funnel right. So the king and queen are used down to the bottom of the base here to come down through this area. Queen is able to reach the air defense, the archer tower. Brilliant stuff in terms of that will be doing damage to the dragons. Obviously, we can even get through to this air defense at the back. So essentially, we are taking out these buildings, meaning the dragons are forced into the base. You've also got to set up the funnel on the other side. So whilst we could have potentially brought the slammer into this area, we reinforce, and we're going to use the bats in order to continue the funnel for the dragons. So whenever you use the bats, you want to try and merge them in with the dragons once the dragons have taken out a certain area of the base, but you want to try and use them together. So in comes the rage, in comes the freeze, in order to take down the multi, the wizard tower, and then the bats spread out. Love this baby dragon across to the right, tanking this wizard tower in order to allow the bats through it. So that is why the bat bomb method, using the bats in one area, was used to take out 2 splash damage defenses together, and they could spread out from there. If you're only attacking 1 splash at a time, and you can get onto that relatively easily, you can use the bat wave to sweep around the base. But if you want to use the bats for pathing as well, using them in the manner you saw there, forced the dragons down over towards this far side of the base, taking out the final wizard tower, and it's all about pathing. It's all about trying to use the dragons to take out the splash and the bats to take out any of the dangerous defenses for the dragon. Really using them in unison together. Beautiful stuff. Let's move to the fourth attack strategy of this video. The BoWitch is a strategy which can be used widely across Town Hall 10. It used to be one of the best strategies here, but there is so many of them now that actually it's been knocked down the pecking order a little bit. I would personally say that the Frozen Witch is even better, but they follow these similar principles. It's all about getting access through the base itself, and you're trying to sweep from one side to the other. So notice how we have a number of packs of witches and bowlers here. We've got one that comes down this area in order to just take out the buildings on the inside here. Look, the witches can actually reach that, and we have healers because the air defense is out of the way. I'm going to pause the video just because the attack is kind of getting ahead of what I'm explaining. So we're actually able to eradicate this area quite nicely, and although we've got the mortars here, we're able to keep the witches alive due to the healers. So if you can use a healer, you'll be surprised at the witches, because they're very low health, and how quickly they will be healed up. We do have a little bit of a funnel working on this right hand side as well, but really that's more just to get the troops through. You can see the path the wall wrecker will take through the base here, and we're trying to get the bowlers, a couple of witches, but more importantly our heroes into the center. Notice this multi-inferno. The multis are what you've got to get access to, so that is why the jump spell is used in that region alongside the freeze to try and prevent that area. And then you want bowlers in your clan castle. Rage and heal as soon as the bowlers come out. Look at the damage that does. That's a general rule of thumb. It depends on where the wall wrecker gets to, but it's a good principle to follow. As the bowlers pop out, rage on top, heal on top, they will wipe out that area, and because they were able to take out that area, force the king and queen over to the multi-inferno tower. Now what that means is we've gutted out the center of the base, and if there's not a lot of damage in the center, which there wasn't on this one, you're able to take it out effectively. And moving to the final parts, although the attack starts to thin out, if you've taken out the middle of the base, these BoWitch or the witch style attacks really do well, because towards the end the witches can start to overwhelm the defenses. They just spawn more and more witches. We actually get a little bit unlucky here hitting the giant bomb on the outside, but it's not going to matter. Got enough troops to get the job done and demonstrate to you the BoWitch attack, but the next attack is definitely more reliable in my opinion, so let's move across to it. Gator is going to wrap things up for us with the Queen Charge Hog Riders. You guys know it's one of my favourite strategies, and at the end of this attack I will link the video I did where I ranked the best attacks at Town Hall 10, so you will want to check that one out as well, guys. Now for the Queen Charge, you've got to set up that funnel. We used one balloon in order to test for any black air bombs, followed by the baby dragon to take out this area. That's 15 troop capacity. If the baby dragon is in danger or there's a lot to take out, you might want to consider the P.E.K.K.A. Whilst it is 25 troop space, that could be a lot better because it will target anything. It will be able to be predicted in terms of its pathing quite easily, and it will have a high amount of health. It can take over an area relatively well. The main thing you've got to take into consideration is this: healers swapping to the P.E.K.K.A. You do not want that. You want them on the Queen. Loved the use of the balloon there in order to pick off that black air bomb, and getting down to it, the Queen has been funneled effectively into the base. Now it's very similar to any other kill squad. You're trying to take out similar things. It's just that the Queen Charge can be effective if you can get her funneled right, because once you've got her through the center, she can still be at full health. It's not like the troops are continually going down. Clan Castle troops go down, Queen goes down, we get a multi-inferno, but more importantly, look at all of the buildings on the inside here. That is a nightmare in order to path Hog Riders. If I pause for a second, look at the width of these defenses. You would have to come in from a huge angle in order to then try and merge the Hog Riders through the center. But as the Queen snipes off these defenses here, it does narrow that path quite a lot, and it means that although we do still have to come in surgically, we're able to merge the Hog Riders through here a little bit better. So we target at different areas in order to then get the Hog Riders in the center. A couple of more key points here I want to pause to show you. King swap at the top, you can use your king as a funnel, or the barbarian king on defense can also be troublesome for the hogs. So a quick king swap can be helpful, as well as tanking this area and taking out trash. I also want to point out the rage spell used on the hogs. You might plan to use a certain amount of rages on your queen, but if you recognize that she is doing fine, you don't need to use them heals. It's a good idea to use them on the hogs. Look at how quickly they overwhelmed this area. All you've got to consider is that if you are using the rage in an area where there's open spaces, for instance around a multi, just know that they might be powered into a giant bomb, and if you're not ready with a heal, they can easily go down, so it can actually be detrimental to you. But they powered through that area easily with lots of them left over. Keeping the queen alive, as we explained before, means she can help to take out trash buildings in the center, and that is 5 of the most powerful Town Hall 10 attacks for you, as displayed by Toxic Rabbits. But if you want to see them in order, the best attack strategies at Town Hall 10, I'd highly recommend this video. I break them down, I tell you the best attack strategy there is, so go ahead and check that one out. But that wraps it up for this one. Until next time, peace out.